I've only known legal. He's got a whole swoop.
How do you do?
It's fine. They're talking about rigging, basically, which is true.
Did he get?
It's a very fraudulent.
He didn't get to stand or what?
I can't tell you about that. But they blocked him basically. They blocked him from standing.
She's over there.
Are we on yet?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, Heiko Khoo, thank you.
So you're the headline act now this week. For the first time you're the headline act.
Oh, he's the second act, the headline act, is it? I didn't know that.
You've got rounding off, yes, that's the way it goes.
Well, you learn something every week, don't you? You know. So I was going to speak about Israel, Gaza, the world today, stuff like that, you know.
100 missiles going towards Israel we're going to talk about.
300 missiles.
Getting knocked down, RAF Britain sends out.
You see, a friend of mine wrote to me a little while ago and he was going, great about Iran shooting the missiles against Israel. I wrote back to him and said, I think the Iranians are not being serious about this because it was, I mean, I heard it on the radio that the Iranians had shot missiles and that they were taking hours to get to Israel.
It was like a fireworks show.
And so it was quite clear that the Israelis would be able to shoot them down. So what's the point in shooting the missiles? It's a as you say, a fireworks show, a demonstration of anger, a demonstration of rage, but for what reason? They seized the ship, good thing. The Yemenis have been doing that for some time. So Iran could have done that a long time ago. They're doing it now. Obviously Iran feels pressure from below and from Hezbollah fighters that they are not doing enough to fight against Israel. And of course we know RAF were mobilized to support Israel. I believe they shot down a couple of the missiles. Not that the Israelis required the RAF. The RAF was showing, we stand with Israel. That's what they were showing.
That's right.
The Germans, they stand with Israel. I think it's 300 million in weapons they've been sending to Israel. The British stand with Israel. They've sent 44 million in weapons to Israel. Because Britain provides technical, logistical and intelligence support to Israel.
That's right.
So in other words, Britain, the homeland of democracy, as we've just heard, the homeland of democracy is occupied by Zionist interests carrying out a Holocaust against the people of Gaza.
That's right.
And yes, I repeat, it is a Holocaust being carried out by Israel against the people of Gaza. And anybody who's looking with eyes to see, you know, they said, oh, in October, what about October the 7th? What about October the 7th? What about October the 7th? Every day they repeated that story. You know, in the Bible, we look at the Bible, we think it's a bit archaic, it's a bit dated, you know, the Old Testament. It says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? In the Bible. And we all know, well, that's the old days, you know. Jesus came after that. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Nobody does that anymore, after all. We have courts, we have judiciary, we have process, we have law, we have prison sentences rising in scale, and in some countries we have the death penalty. But in Israel, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth is not in place. What you have is an eye for 50 eyes, a tooth for 50 teeth. All in the name of we suffered in the Holocaust. That's what they say. The Holocaust, you know, there's a Jewish friend of mine, he once said to me, he said, there's no business like show business. And that's the truth of the matter. They use the Holocaust as an excuse to barbarically mistreat the people of Gaza and the Palestinians, and for the Americans to plant their ally with all its weapons, including nuclear weapons, by the way. It said that Israel has up to 400 nuclear weapons. To defend what? The Jewish people? The Jewish people. Leon Trotsky once wrote that if they were to establish a state of Israel, it would be a prison camp for the Jews. More than that, it's a prison camp for the Jews and the Palestinian people, and it results in the maintenance and control of dictatorships right across the Middle East. Israel is a key player in supporting the American interests in the Middle East, which was always oil to maintain dictatorships.
That's right.
Right across the region. And the reason the Iranians sent some missiles is because they're feeling the pressure from below. The mass of people in Iran, if you ask them in Iran, if you ask the Egyptian streets, if you ask the Lebanese streets, or the Jordanian streets, or you ask the people in Bahrain even, or Saudi Arabia, who will volunteer to fight against Israel? Millions of people will be prepared to fight. Millions of people. And so the Arab rulers who claim they are there looking after the interests of the people, but in actual fact are in the pay of America and the Zionists, those people refuse to do anything. And it would be right and justified for the Arab streets, and by the way, for the Jewish street in Israel, those who are aware in Israel, including, by the way, the Orthodox Jews, those guys in London, also in Stamford Hill, you know, every day they do things that if a normal Muslim going on a demonstration would, they burn the flag, the Israeli flag. They do not believe in the Jewish faith. Israel cannot be established until the Messiah returns. Who's the Messiah? Benjamin Netanyahu? Who is he? Where is he? These barbarians carry out brutality and slaughter in the name of the defense of Israel. And the Western powers all say, we have a duty to defend the right of Israel to exist. The rights of the Palestinians, they are to be destroyed with bomb after bomb after bomb. They've dropped more weapons on the people of Gaza. What is it, 40 miles by 5? 40 miles by 5. More weapons on the people of Gaza. More firepower on the people of Gaza than 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's what they dropped on the people. And then they say, oh, we're protecting them. We give them a phone call. When we're about to bomb them, we phone them up. We say, we're going to bomb you. Leave the house. And they drop leaflets out of aeroplanes. And then the people move. First they told them, go south. 40% of those who've been killed in the last months, 6 months I believe now, 40% were away from the area where they'd been told to leave. So they were running away and they blew them up. By the way, this has a long tradition. My mother's German. In the Second World War, she remembers listening to British radio. The British radio said, go to Leipzig, go to Leipzig. They went to Leipzig, what happened? The British bombed them when they went there. That's what they did against the civilians. She was 5 years of age at the time. Against the civilians, they bombed them. So when they turn around and say, oh, we're democratic, and democratic states do this, and democratic states do this, and Hamas are terrorists, and anybody who marches on a demonstration and shouts from the river to the sea is a supporter of Hamas and must be arrested, must be detained, is a terrorist. The government of Britain, in backing Israel, has declared itself, alongside with the opposition in Britain, they've declared themselves, we are supporters of terrorism. Britain is a terrorist state. The British government are terrorist criminals. backing barbarism in Gaza. That's the truth. And of course, it's nothing new about Britain being a terrorist state. What after all was Iraq? What, remember they said they got weapons of mass destruction. They're going to fire a missile at London. It's going to hit us in 40 minutes. They got chemical and bacteriological weapons. No such thing existed. Remember they told us on a separate matter. Don't worry, anyone on YouTube, I won't get you cut off. I'm carefully my words. I have to be more careful. I have to be more careful than anyone else. Because they can put stuff out on GB News. They put stuff out in the Daily Mail. They put stuff out in the Times. They put stuff out now even on the BBC about COVID, which I am still not allowed to say. If I say it, you get cut off. You get cut off. So the truth of the matter is, they used COVID as a kind of terror against the world's population.
Absolutely.
And what they're doing now is an extension and a continuation of what they were doing during COVID.
Absolutely.
At that time they said, you must stay at home. Well, they say to the people in Gaza, you must move here, you must move there, you must go there, you must go there, and then we're coming for you. They told everyone in Israel, by the way, in Israel, they told everyone, you must take the love juice from Pfizer. You must take the love juice from the mRNA.
Know that they're Nazis.
And a lot of people suffered some consequences, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but you can find out from the official channels. Because now they're saying what I'm not allowed to talk about, what I've not been allowed to talk about for 3 years, what Piers Corbyn was talking about for 3 years. Now they are saying what we said, and they're saying, oh, everybody knows this. But at the time when we said it, nobody's supposed to do it. And it was anti-science, anti-democratic, and promoting terrorism. They said it was the same as terrorism. That's what they said. And so all words, all stories are inverted, are transformed. We get lie after lie after lie told to us as being truth. Oh, we are telling the truth. We are protecting democracy. Israel is a democratic state. It's defending the rights of the people. And if there the only excess that happened in the whole period now, since October the 7th, the only excess that has happened on the part of Israel, as far as Britain is concerned, as far as America is concerned, as far as the Western world is concerned, and yes, in reality, as far as the Arab rulers are concerned, the only crime that has been committed is a few people killed last week who provide food. World Kitchen, whatever it is, Centre. That's the only crime against humanity. 35,000 or 40,000 people killed. 70% of them women and children. And where, as I said to you earlier on, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. No. Israel has a law. 1 eye for 30 eyes. 70 teeth for 1 tooth. That is the reality of Israel. Now there are pictures I saw. Low-key posted something this morning. He said, no words, and it was a picture. I opened up, and it was too horrible to look at. Burnt out children, arms and legs missing, bodies burnt all over. That is supposed to be the protection of democracy and the freedom of Israel. Well, if that's what Israel represents, then Israel has no right to exist. That's the truth about it. So if the Israelis want to change that, if they want to have a right to exist, they have to stand up and overthrow their government. They have to establish a genuine democratic relationship of peace, freedom and harmony with the Arab brothers and Palestinian brothers.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they have no right to exist. And if that's a terrorist comment, well then so be it. The truth of the matter is, Hamas they call terrorists. Well, if they're terrorists, if they're terrorists, what the hell is Israel? If they're terrorists, what the hell is Britain? Britain is an organised terrorist formation to control large swathes of the world, economically, politically and militarily. My friend over here, he showed me his passport. Because they also, Palestine never existed. He showed me his passport. Born in Palestine. Born in Palestine. I thought he was born in Palestine. So what are they talking about? Or one day after another they lie to us. Because the lies go back historically. There's nothing new about this. It's perfectly true. The lies are not new. They murdered tens of thousands of people in Kenya in the Mau Mau revolt.
Yes.
They imprisoned 1 million people in Malaya, 1957, under British rule. Under British rule.
Yes.
They had people in concentration camps in South Africa when they were fighting the Boer War. They had millions of people starved to death in India in 1943 to 1945. At the same time, as Auschwitz,
Yes.
there was estimated 2 million dead in Auschwitz. There were 2 to 3 million dead in West Bengal, starved to death by the British.
Deliberately.
So when they turn around and say, we are the defenders of democracy, how long has Parliament been there? That building, St Stephen's Hall, was built in, 1247. 1247. How long have you had the right to vote? A bit less than that. A bit less, and yet the democracy existed in 1247. In fact, the right to vote for men, for the majority of men in Britain, not even universal males, but the majority of men in Britain was won here at Speaker's Corner in 1866.
Yes.
It's at that time that we also secured the right to speak in Speaker's Corner. But you look at the police aren't here to protect free speech. We saw during the lockdowns what free speech meant.
Yes.
At a moment's notice, of course, to protect your health, to protect your welfare, to look after you, because they care about us. They locked down the whole population and declared Speaker's Corner an enemy of the people. It was a major centre for the dissemination of COVID. That was the story they wanted to promote. I saw a guy earlier on. Nick, my voice is going, sorry. I saw a guy earlier on, Nick. I remember him walking around here. He turned around and said to one of the police officers, "You're really fat." And the officer ran up to him, kicked him to the ground, dragged him behind with handcuffs behind his back, slammed him against the wall, and took him into detention, even though he suffers from mental health problems. Many hundreds of people were attacked by the police on 4 separate occasions in Hyde Park. Many of us were arrested by the police, including Wilsey, by the way, here at Speaker's Corner. Stood up here when they said you're allowed to go to the park and you're allowed to exercise. So Wilsey, in very amusing form, came to the park with a couple of dumbbells and started speaking. And they grabbed him, twisted his arm behind his back and arrested him. Myself, they arrested here, round the corner here. Police bundled me to the ground, slapped handcuffs on my arms, took me to the police station, arrested me 3 times in a row that day. Luckily, I've had the sense, and I appeal to anyone else who was arrested in those dark times. I had the sense to take them to court, or threaten to take them. I got money from them last week.
Way! Good man! Well done! How much?
For that particular offence, that I got £3,500.
Good! Excellent! Not enough.
They are criminal.
They are absolutely
Dressed
criminal.
in uniform,
Absolutely.
to protect the state, financing and arming the slaughter of people across the Middle East.
Yes.
And by the way, they talk now about a regional war. But don't forget, we've already got regional war. We got war in Europe for the first time since the Second World War. And who's behind that? Who's behind Zelensky? Britain. The only reason there wasn't a peace deal, the only reason was Boris Johnson.
What a monster that man is.
Fatso, as you call him. Fatso, as you call him.
He's an animal. He's an absolute
Boris Johnson scuttled over to meet with the Turkish and the Ukrainians and said, "Do not make a peace deal. We will send you all the weapons you need. All the weapons you need." Tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of soldiers have been killed as a consequence of British, American, French, German weapons fighting against the Russians on the borders with Russia. On the borders with Russia. What state would not react if they have an international alliance designed exclusively to attack them, marching right up to their border? What state would not do so? And by the way, the Americans and their allies, who are in a period of terminal decline of their power, despite all the measures they've been taking, the COVID measures, the Minute City measures, the climate measures, they are powers in terminal decline. But of course, a power that is in a terminal decline is like a wounded tiger. It is vicious, ferocious, lashes out, will use irrational force, and will respond irrationally. And in fact, the political choice in America is a reflection of this. You know, there was a Greek philosopher once said, those who the gods wish to destroy, first they drive them mad. And here we have it. Tweedledee and Tweedledum of lunacy. Donald Trump and Joe Biden standing to run the most powerful country on earth. With all the nuclear weapons, with all the bombs, with all the military power, with all the economic might. Their main fear, and I'll end on this, I'll return to this on another day. Their main fear is China. And therefore all of this, the war in Gaza, the war against Russia, all of this is preparation as far as the US military and economy is concerned for a pivot to Asia and a turn to China. Some of you might have read in the news last week that America is now seeking an alliance with Japan and Australia and Britain to prepare for war with China. And the grounds they want to use is Taiwan, because Taiwan, you see, is a colony of America. And Taiwan they want to use as the excuse to launch a war or fight a war with China, in which all of us, just as in COVID, just as in the wars around the world, all of us are the victims of this war. The task, ladies and gentlemen, just the same as the people of Israel must rise up against the Israeli state, as the people of the Middle East must rise up against their own rulers. We too must rise up against our rulers and overthrow this corrupt cabal of plutocrats and oligarchs who claim to be the defenders of democracy. They are defenders of billionaires and multimillionaires who control the world, control the economic, political and military power in the world. Down with their power. Long live the rising tide of revolutionary struggle around the world that will appear and disappear, but will never be eradicated until such time as the system of society that we live under is overthrown by the people. Thank you very much.
Heiko Khoo once again. How brilliant is that? Very good. And he told me he was feeling hoarse and wouldn't have much to say. It was a lie. It was a lie. He has plenty to say.
Not peace now, revolution.
Revolution
Yes,
now.
revolution.
Peace in our time requires revolution everywhere. Well, before we go, guys, Shaney has got the list here, please. We've got names on it, we want more people. We want people in every borough ready, active now for free and fair elections. And when the election comes, we will be there to win. And furthermore, a few more leaflets and money. And we do have a paying machine here. Although we prefer cash, you can give money via a card. Okay, please. Shaney's got the list. Any more, please join in. I don't know if anybody got any short questions, but probably we should just end now.
How can you ensure that you'll get in around that? There are a lot of candidates standing for London Mayor.
Yes, what's the question?
How can you ensure that you will actually get in? Because there are a lot of
candidates. Because we are saying something different from the other candidates.
What about your...
I'm standing for peace. All of the rest are actually pro-war candidates. That is the crucial thing. And so far as my own history is concerned, I have been active on key issues, and Mr. Sham also been active on key issues, standing up against the circus. The circus is going to be broken this time. So people, please, join the campaign for free and fair elections, and then vote for real candidates for real change. I stand for peace now. And resist, defy, do not comply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Piers. Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody.
Where did you get the